Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today we're in Masechtas Gittin daf Nun Vav. We are going to begin on the bottom of Nun Hey Amud Beis by the two dots about 7 lines from the bottom. We're now going to be seeing for the entire daf a lot of Agadata specifically related to the Churban Abayis. Rabbi Yochanan, he begins with the introduction of Ma'anech Siv, the pasuk that says, Ashri Adam Afachid Tamid. What does it mean? Praiseworthy is a person who is continuously afraid. Rashi doesn't say afraid, but Dayeg Lirois Hanoila. Someone who has the ability to be concerned about the future. Shel Torah Takala Bekach Im Esazais. That you realize if I do X, then Y is going to happen. There's consequences. Umakshalibo Yipol Bara. And one who is hardened, he will fall evil. So it's a Kamza Bar Kamza Chaver Yerushalayim. The very famous Gemara of Kamza Bar Kamza is the reason why Yerushalayim was destroyed. Atarnagoyla Atarnagalta, when it came to a hen and a rooster, Chaver of Tur Malka, the city called Tur Malka was destroyed, which we'll see what happened there. And finally, Ashaka Durispak Char Beitar. Because of the mishap of a carriage, that caused Beitar to be destroyed. So, Kamza Bar Kamza Char Yerushalayim Dahu Gavra Derachmi Kamza. So, it was a person that had a really great friend, and his name was Kamza. However, Ubal Devave Bar Kamza. He had someone he didn't like, and his name was Bar Kamza. So of Sudasa, he made a meal. Armalei Lashami, he told his servant, Zil Isili Kamsa, invite my friend Kamsa. So he made a mistake. Ozil Isili Bar Kamsa. Instead, he invited the guy he didn't like, Bar Kamsa, and Bar Kamsa was like, wow, this is pretty amazing. Didn't think he liked me much, but I guess I was wrong because he's inviting me to this party. So Ashla Ashche Dahavi Yosef, he saw that Bar Kamsa was there sitting. Armalei Michti, Hahu Gavra Bal Devava Dahu Gavrahu. You are someone that is not my friend. Ma boys hacha, what are you doing here? Kum puk, get up and get out of here. So Amelia said, listen, Hayel vasoy, since I've already come, so shavkan, v'avinalach demei ma dechilna v'shasina. I'm not going to cause you any financial loss. I'll pay for my meal. As we continue to Nun Vav Amarav, Amelia, lo. He said no, which the way you can remember this Gemara is on Daf Nun Vav, Daf no. So he said no. This is the Gemara about constantly him saying no. He said, okay, I'll pay half of your meal. Lo, no. Amalei Avinalach Demei Kuli Sudaseich. Amalei Lo. No. Daf Nun Vav. No. So, because he said this, Nakte Biyad, they grabbed him, the Ukme V'Akke, he threw him out of the party. Amri said, Hoy Vahavias Rabbanan V'Limachu Bey. There were a bunch of rabbis there, no one said a word. Shemamina Kanichelu. The fact that you said nothing obviously shows that you agreed to this behavior. Silence admits to the fact that you agree to what's going on. So, Ezel Eichabu Kurza Bemalka. I'm going to go and slander them in front of the Melech, the Tsar. So Ozil he went. Amalei Kesar. He said to Caesar, Mardabacha Yehudoi, the Jewish people are rebelling. Amalei Miyamar, who said that? Amalei Shadlur Kurbana, send them a carbon, and let's see if they accept it. Now, if they don't accept it from you, and they know you're the Caesar, obviously they don't respect you, and they're rebelling against you. So Chazis, let's see. So go ahead and send them this beautiful choice animal called an eglatilta, which is it translated as the third born animal, which is like the choicest of animals. Bahadikasi, when he was sending it, should be mumma. He made a mum Beniv savasayim, by the lip. B'yarmala bedukin shiba'ayin. Some say by the created a cataract in the eye. So this is considered to be a mum, but it's not so pashit whether or not the Caesar would have noticed it and considered a mum himself. Because it's a place where we consider it to be a mum that really should not go to the mizbech. However, for an akim la mumahu, it's not considered to be a mum to them. So therefore, this is why who's causing problem. Sab Rabbanan lekaruve. The Rabbanan thought, you know what? We should just be makar of this carbon on the mizbech, as Rashi says, ish Rabbi says of kachavim shenedarim nedavas Israel, because we know we could accept karbanos. You don't have to be Jewish to bring karbanos. Mishum shol malchus, al shol malchus, you just accept it, and that'll be the end of it. Maybe we should do that. So the Gemara says maybe not. Amalhu Rabbi Zachariah ben Avkulas Yomer Bali Mumin Karev Mizbech. People are going to start thinking you can bring a Baal Mum onto the Mizbech. So that shouldn't be allowed. So some are Lamiktale. They were thinking maybe we should just kill Bar Kamza, get him out of this whole picture. Dulul Lazel, Belema. So he won't go back to the Caesar and say anything. Amalhu Rabbi Zachariah, so he said, Yomru Metal Mum Bakadshim Yahareg. People are going to start saying, oh, if you bring carbon, which is a mum, you're going to be killed. It's like a capital offense, which of course is not the situation. So that's what people are going to think. So Rabbi Yochanan, so they didn't kill him either, and he ended up going and telling the Caesar that they didn't accept his carbon. So Rabbi Yochanan ben Sanusa shel Rabbi Zachariah ben Avkulos, because of the humility, the tolerance that this man had, Hechrives Beisenu. Our base of was destroyed. The Sefer as Heichalenu. Our Heichal was burnt. The Higi Loisanu Miartzenu. We were exiled from our land. So Shader Uluhi Leneroim. So it was sent to Neron, which is like Nero Caesar. Kikasi, when he came, Shadigira Lemizrach. He shot an arrow to the east. Omar Asan Nafal B'Yerushalayim. And it fell in Yerushalayim. Then Lamar, he shot an arrow toward the west. Also Nafal Yerushalayim. Also Yerushalayim. Every time he shot an arrow, it continued to land in the exact same place. So this was his simon that maybe he has the ability to destroy it. Amalei Leanuka, pasuk pasuk kech. Tell me a pasuk that you learned in school today. Amalei v'nasanti es nikmasi be'edoim. That I will exact my revenge biyad am Yisrael v'gaimer. Amar kuchabrichu, Hashem said, boyel charubi basi, that it must be that he wants the base of mitzvah to be destroyed. Boyel chvori yadi, and he wants to wipe his hands, namely to punish them. Rashi says like kaneach yadav. Bahu gavra on this person. Arak, so he ran v'azol v'igar v'nafik minei Rameir. It says that he ran away and he ended up converting, and from him came Rav Meir. So Neron, which could be Nero, so he, upon seeing this, was so amazed that he ended up not harming the Klal Yisrael. Shadri Eliyu L'Aspasyonos. Second was Aspasyonos, Caesar. Asa Sara La Tlashne. And he laid siege the base of Mikdash for 3 years. Havi Mahanu Tlasatire. The truth is, in the old city, there's 3 very wealthy people. Nakdim ben Gurion was one. Uben Kalba Savoa, which was Rabbi Akiva's father-in-law. Uben Tzitzis Hakeses. So who are these 3 people? Nakdim ben Gurion Shenataloicham Bavaro. The son actually stopped in his merit, as the Gemara discusses in Masechtas Tainus, that he borrowed money and he couldn't get it back. He said on condition if it rains, it didn't rain. It was mispaled, then it rained, as the Gemara over there talks about on Daf Chav. Ben Kalba Savoa Shekol Henichnas Labesa Kashurav Kakelav Yaitza Kashu Saveya. Anyone who would go into his house hungry would come hungry like a dog, would come out satiated. Ben Tzitzas Akasa Shahaisa Tzitzasai Nigreres Al Gabi Ksasais. That his sitzes were like dragging on fine cloth. to cover the tzitzis. Some say that his garments or his cloth was among the Gedali Roimi, that he used to sit by them. So that's what it means. It says Ben Sitzis was his name, and he was called Hakasa Shahaisa Kistai Kise Shalo. It means his chair was Motelas Ben Gedali Roimi. So he was a very powerful person, and he had a lot of influence. So not only was Ben Sitzis Hakasas wealthy, but he also was influential, according to this opinion. Now, these three people, one of the three people, one of these wealthy people said, Ana Zainulhu Bechiti V'Sa'ari. I'm going to provide for everyone wheat and barley, so no one's going to starve. Chad Amalhu B'Dechamra U'V'Demilcha U'V'Mishcha. I'm going to provide wine and salt and oil. Chad Amalhu B'Detzive. I'm going to provide wood. So this way they'll be warm, they'll be able to cook. V'Shimcha Rabbanan V'Detzive. He actually praised the person who donated the wood to everyone the most. Rav Chisda Kol Akalide Havimasul Shami Bar Mnitzive. When it came to all of the keys, he gave it over to his servant, except for that of the wood. Rav Chisda, because Rav Chisda said, Achlava Dechite, a storehouse of wheat, Boishisin Akalvi Detzive, needs 60 amounts of wood. So basically, it's a tremendous amount of wood that's necessary. Anyway, Hamelhu Lamezin Estrin V'chad Shata. They actually had enough for just those three people alone could support all the people for 21 years. However, and therefore we could have just remained in our walled city, and we would have nothing to worry about. They wouldn't be able to breach our walls. Habibuhu Hanu Bir Yomi. There are these Bar Yonim, in which in Jewish history we call them also a group of people called zealots, that they wanted to fight. So the problem is, how do we get the Jewish people to fight? They're just going to sit and wait it out, and eventually the Romans will give up because it's not worth breaking down these. It'll never happen. We won't be able to get penetrate through these walls, and people aren't going to starve. We don't have to starve them out. They have all the food that they need. So the zealots thought, let's fight them. The only way we can fight them was Oimru Rabbanan Nepik V'Navid Shlama B'Hadayu. The Rabbanan said, let's go and bring peace with the Romans. However, Lo Shavkinhu, the Bar Yonim, again the zealots, didn't want to have anything to do with that. So Amalahu Nepik V'Navid Karava B'Hadayu. Let's go and fight them. So Amalahu Rabbanan Lo Mistayim Ilsa. It's not logical. It's the Roman army. They're much more powerful than us. Much better than we should just hide behind our walls. Kamu kalanhu lahanhu ambure dechiti v'sa'ari v'havi kafna. So they decided to burn up, these zealots did, all the storage houses filled with wheat and barley, which again was 21 years worth of food, and then all of a sudden there was a massive hunger. And their logic was, because now that we have no food, we are forced to fight. Because if we don't, we're going to die anyway. We're going to die of starvation. So that was their motivation. Now, Marta Bas Baitus was a Tirta Yerushalayim Havoy, a very wealthy woman. Shadarte Lashlucha, she sent her a messenger. V'amrulei Zil Aisele Semida, bring back fine soilus, fine flour. Ad Ozl, when he went, is Dabin, it was sold out. So also Amrulei Semida Lake, and there's unfortunately no fine flour. However, Chivar Teika, we do have white flour. So she's like, okay, so Amrulei Zil Aisele, so get that. The Ozl is Dabin. However, once he got there, that was also gone. There was none left. So also the Yarmalei Chivarta Leka, there's no, as Rashi says, Pasnakia, fine, clean flour. However, Gushkura Ika, there's still coarse bran. Says Rashi, Pas Kibur. Yarmalei Zilaisili, so bring that. The Ozl is Dabin, it was sold out. Also the Yarmalei, he went back there and says, Gushkura Leka, Kimcha Dasari Ika. However, there's coarse barley. Sarmale zilaisili, give me that. The ozl is down, that was sold out. Havi shalifa misana. And she, at the time, had no shoes on. Amra, she said, Apik, let me go out. Let me see what's going on. Maybe I can find something to eat. So Esavla porta bikara umesa. So it says that she stepped on a portion of dung, and it was so repulsive to her that caused her to die. Karlu Rav Yochanan and Zakkai haracha, the soft ones b'cha among you, vahanuga, are individuals who are pampered. Ashelo nista kafragla, in which it cannot touch on the ground their feet. Iki d'amri, some say Grogus Rav Tzadok achla. She actually was eating the figs of Rav Tzadok visnisa umesa, because of those sucked out, dried out figs, which she wasn't able to eat and swallow and digest them. That's actually what caused her to die. Question TA 24. Almi Amar Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai Karacha B'cha V'Hanuga. So again, that's referring to Marsa Bas Baitus, that either she stepped on dung of an animal and died, or because she ate these groigris, these dried up figs of Rav Tzadok, and that's how she died. Rav Tzadok Yosef Arboin Shnin Batanisa, because Rav Tzadok, he fasted for 40 years. Delo Lech of Yerushalayim, that Yerushalayim shouldn't be destroyed. Yihavi Ochel Midi Havi Mischazi Ma'avroi. Whenever you would see him swallow something, you can actually see from the outside it going down his throat. V'chi Havi Bari Maisila Groigris. In order for him to get healthy, they used to give him these dried figs. Mayitz Maihu, so he was drinking this juice. V'shadilhu, and then it would be thrown down to him. Kihavi Kanicha Nashu, he was dying. A pikte l'chol dahava v'kasva. When she was dying, they took out all the gold and the silver. She was so wealthy. Shadisi v'shuka, and she threw all the money onto the street. Amr, hi mai miboili. What is this purpose of this money? Has no benefit to me at all. All the silver were cast out into the streets. Abba Sikra, Reish Bar Yoini Yerushalayim. So Abba Sikra was the head of these Bar Yoinim. Bar Achte Rav Yochanan Zakkai Habe. However, he was related to the great Rav Yochanan Zakkai, and we're going to see how he saved Klal Yisrael. Sholchle, so he sent out to him, Tobasino Gaboy, that I want to go out in public. Also, ad emas avid tu hachin, until when are you going to do this? The katlisule alma bikafna. After all, people are going to they're dying of starvation. What can I do? If I say anything meaty to the bar yoinim, to these zealots, katuli, they're going to kill me. They're not going to let you leave. So therefore, amalei chazile tekanta, wididi the apik, after the havi hatzola porta. Let me go out, and maybe I could do some type of saving. Not a complete hatzola of Yerushalayim and everything, but at least something. So he said, why don't you go around and let everyone think that you are sick? Says Rashi, Chazek atzmacha kachayla. Give the word that you're sick. Lesi kuli alma lishalu boch, and people are going to go and to ask about you, like your guy says you're dying. V'yaisi midi sarya, bring something which is like rotten. The agniv gabach, and keep it by you. V'lemer denach nafshach, and people will say that you died. Like if you keep a nevela by you, which smells like a dead, rotting carcass, they're going to think that it's actually you, Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai's body, that's decomposing. L'alui bach tash talmidach, let your students go. The leil bach inish achrin, no one else should touch you when they bring your remains outside of the city, which of course you're alive. We don't want them to touch you because you're going to be light. Because they know that a living person is lighter than someone who's dead. Hence the concept dead weight. So if they would carry you and someone else would try to pick you up, it would be obvious that you weren't dead. So only let your Talmidim be involved in this ruse. So Avid Hachi did this. Nichnas boy Rabbi Lezer Mitzad Rabbi Yeshua Mitzad Acher. So he had these two great students. Kimatu Lepischa, when they got to the entrance of the old city, Ba Lamid Kare, the Bar Yonim, these zealots, wanted to pierce the body to make sure that he was actually dead. Or Malu Yomer, the Romans will say, Rabban Dakru, that you pierce the remains of a great rabbi. You have shown no respect for yourself, for your people, because the burial in the cemetery was outside of the city. So that was the only time they would be able to leave. So Midchafe, they wanted to push the body to see what would happen. They're going to say, this is how you treat the body, you push it. So Paskule Bubba, they opened up the gate. Nothing, he went out. So he finally was able to come across this person who he referred to him as a king. So many people say this is actually Vespasian, the famous encounter of Rabbi Yochanan Zakku with Vespasian. He said you should be killed twice. Now, first of all, I'm not a king. You're making fun of me. You call me a king? I'm not a king. Even if I was a king, so why didn't you come to me before? If you really thought it was so important, then you should have approached me immediately. So Amalei Dika Amrit La Malkana, as we continue to Nvava Mebezer, and tell him the fact that you say that you're not a king, he has to be. Ibra Malkat says Rashi Melachat Asili, you're going to be a king in the future. You have to be. Dila Malkat Lo Mimser Yerushalayim Biadach. Yerushalayim would not be given over to someone's hand who wasn't a powerful king. Dechsev V'halavanoin Ba'adir Yipoil. That the Lavanoin, which is the base of Mikdash, with a king it will fall. Then Lavanoin, when it says Lavanoin, it's only referring to Yerushalayim. So it's referring specifically to Yerushalayim, to the base of Mikdash. It's called Lavanoin. And Rashi says, why is the base of Mikdash called Lavanoin? Because it literally purifies or whitens the sins of Klal Yisrael, which is, I believe is a question here. TB 25, indeed. As we just saw in Rashi, TB 25. TB 25. Okay. So he said, it has to be that this is the situation. You're a king. Why didn't you come to me now? There are these zealots, the Bar Yonim, lo shavkinon. They wouldn't let me go visit you until now. So if you have a barrel of honey, and you have a snake that's wrapped around it, you wouldn't break the barrel because of the snake. So too, you should have destroyed the walls of Yerushalayim. The Romans would come in, and the Bar Yonim would have nothing to support themselves. So why didn't you do that? So Ishtik, he was quiet. Sometimes the response of the king of the Chachamim, their das is foolish. He should have said, Shaklinan savta, take tongs, the shaklinan lay with rakoin, and take the snake, v'katlinan lay, and just kill the snake. V'chavisa shavkinan law, and you could have kept the barrel intact. In other words, Don't destroy the Beis Hamikdash. The only people that are causing problems to you Romans are the zealots, are these Bar Yoinim. So take them out of the picture, like tongs to a snake, but leave the Beis Hamikdash alone. Adahachi asi paristaka alei muraimi, or malei kum. A messenger came and they said to Vespasian, "Get up." The Mesle Caesar, because the other Caesar died. The Amr Hanhu Chashivi Noraimi Loisivach Beresha. They said that you should be in his stead. Havisayim Khan Masani. He was actually at the time of Vespasian wearing one shoe. Ba Yamil Achrina. You want to put on the other shoe. Why? But you couldn't put it on. Then Ba Lamish Lafal Idach Lonafik. He wanted to remove the other shoe. He couldn't take it off. Amr Mai Hai, what's going on? So Amr Leis Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai said, Lo titztair. Don't be concerned. Shemua Taiva Asilach. You heard good news. Dechsev Shemua Taiva Tidashin Etzem. That it makes you feel big. If you grow, you feel bigger. You feel good. So that's what happened. That's why one of your shoes are stuck, and the other shoe you can't get on because it's too small. Elamai Tekante. So what's the remedy? Leisi Inish Delo Meisva Datoch Mine. Velachlif Kamoch. So let someone who you don't like so much stand in front of you, and it'll kind of bring you down to size. Dechsev Ruach Nechea Tiyavesh Garim. That the spirit of someone who is bitter will dry up your bones. Avid Hachi Ayel. And it actually happened. He was able to put on the other shoe. Armolei. So Miyachad Dechach Misu Kulihai, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, I see you're a brilliant man. Adi Inna Milo Asisul Gaboy. How come you couldn't come to me before? Armolei, Vo Amrilach, did I not tell you? Armolei Ana Nami Amrilach. I'm also saying to you. So Amrulay, in other words, he's saying, if you're really so smart, maybe you could have come up, maybe with this, some other aids to get to me faster. Amrulay Mazel Zilna. So Vespasian said, I'm going to go. Vidish Achrina Mishaduna. And I'm going to send someone else in my stead to fight you. Ella Boiminoi Midi. Go and request, here, listen to the language. Midi, something, not anything. Give me some request. That the I'll give you. So I want three things. Tenli Yavne v'chachameha. Give me the city of Yavne. I know you're going to destroy Yerushalayim and the Beis Hamikdash. At least let Yavne stand. Now Yavne was the center of wisdom, and therefore the Klal Yisrael, which were the Pharisees, were able to live after the Beis Hamikdash because of Yavne and Torah and mitzvos. The Sadducees, the Saddukim, who only believed in the written Torah, so they embraced the temple and its structures. Of course, not that we don't, but they were not able to function outside of the temple. But Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai understood that it's not the Beis Hamikdash. Of course, we need the Beis Hamikdash, but it's not the Beis Hamikdash that causes Klal Yisrael to endure. It's the Torah. And therefore, once he was given Yavne, we were all set. So, before I continue, let's actually going to see question 1 and then question 2. Rabbi Yochanan said, based on the humility of Rav Zachariah ben Avkulus, the Yerushalayim was destroyed. So he said, what did he do? So he said that he did not accept the carbon because it was a mum. And also he spared Bar Kamza even though he caused problems and he was going to end up going to the Melech, right? And so it wasn't the fact that bringing a mum is something to be sentenced to death. Of course not. But the problem is people will think that, but the truth is because he's going to cause problems for all Klal Yisrael. Question 2. Boy mine midi de etenloch. What would you like? So ma bikish Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai ma'as pasyonos, which again some people say is Vespasian. So what did he ask for? 3 things. One is Yavne, back in the Gemara, Vishoy Shiltad Rabbi Gemuel, the dynasty of Rabbi Gemuel as a Nasi, and his family. So there'll be an element of leadership in Klal Yisrael. V'asvasa the Messiahin le Reb Tzadok. And also you should spare the doctors for Reb Tzadok. And Reb Tzadok was the whole reason why Yerushalayim wasn't destroyed, because he fasted. So Reb Tzadok was a great tzaddik. the same pasuk we quoted before, because he should have said to the Caesar, he should have said to Vespasian, Lishbekinhu chadazimna, leave us alone this one time. V'husava, Rabbi Yochanan understood, Dimakuli hailoi avid, v'atzol portin nami luhavi. And that was exactly the same language that he said. Let there be a hatzola porta. Let me at least do something. It's exactly the same language. That was Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai's svara. He understood, let me do something. Something is better than nothing. Sometimes if you ask for too much, you'll end up getting nothing. So asking for Yerushalayim, the Beis HaMikdash, he understood that much Vespasian was not going to be willing to do. Asvas to the Messiah Rav Tzadik Maihi. What exactly are these doctors? So Yamakama, one day, Ashkua Maya Defari, he would be drinking this water from Bran. Mocher Maya Desipuka. And then afterwards with flour. Mocher Maya Dekimcha, again with another flour. Either Rabcha Me'ai Porta Porta. So his stomach widened a little bit each time. In other words, what happened was, he was so sick, you couldn't just eat a big meal. That would kill you. Therefore, he had to gradually eat small amounts to prepare himself to be able to get back to his health. Also, Shadre Latitos. So, Vespasian sent Titus, in which is brought down his son. Not that he was the Caesar, but he was now in charge to oversee what would go on in Vespasian's absence, because now he has to go back to Rome. So we quote the pasuk in Devarim, "Va'omer elo kemoi sur chasiyai, the rock of my refuge, by zetitus harasha shecher v'gidev klapi malo," that he blasphemed Hashem. Masa tafez zayna b'yadai v'nechnas abeis kadosh kadashim. He took a zona, went into the kadosh kadashim, where the Aron was. The Yitzia Sefer Torah, he opened up a Sefer Torah, but Avar lehaver, and he did an avera with this zayna. But not the sayef, he took a sword. The gider as a paroiches, and he was stabbing the paroiches. V'nasanes v'yadam mibatzbeitz v'yoytze. All of a sudden, blood starts squirting out. V'ksavar harigas atzmo. He thought, you know what? I may have killed God. That there was screaming among your adversaries, among your nation. Samu oisoisam osos. Abu Chanan Omer mi kamoicha chasinka. Who is like you, the strong God? Mi kamoicha chasin v'kashin. How great are you, God, that hold back? That even though you hear all this blasphemy, saying that doing what he did and saying what he said, Hashem said nothing. So the greatness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is his ability to withhold, which is a tremendous midah. When you are able to do something and you don't, that's the mila. Rabbi Shmuel Tana mi kamoicha ba'elim Hashem. Who is like you, the mighty ones, Hashem? Mi kamoicha ba'ilmim, the mute ones. Ma'asa natal. So the fact that if you're an ilim, being silent is strength. Sometimes being quiet is strength. So ma'asa natal saproiches. He took the curtain, the asukimin gar gutsni, and he made it like a sack. Ve'hevi kol kelim shebamikdash. He took all the kelim. Ve'hanicham behen. He put them in there. Voshivan besfina. He went on a boat. Leilech lishtabech beiro, to go back to his city to brag. Which of course we know in Rome there's the Arch of Titus. Shnemer uvechein reisi rishayim kiburim. That we see these wicked that they should be buried. Uvavim kaimim kadosh alechu. Vishtachu beir, that was forgotten in the city. Asher kain also al tikri. Kivurim ela kivutzim, the gathered army. Al tikri v'yishtachu ela v'yishtabchu, that they praise themselves. Zikad yamri kivurim mamish, buried. It means that they should be buried. Yafilu mili dimitamron igalia, even the buried treasures igalin lahoyin are revealed. Almadalav nachshoil shibayam. All of a sudden there was a massive storm. with Toivo, that he should drown in the sea on his way back to Rome. Omer, so Titus brazenly said, Kamadumani she'elohehem shel elu ein gvuraso el b'mayim. I see your God is only powerful in the water. But Paro tibuyo b'mayim. He was only able to harm Paro once he got into the Yamsuf. But Sisra tiba b'mayim. In the days of Sisra, same thing. The general was, and his army was defeated through the water. Afhu oimid olai l'toiveni b'mayim. God can only destroy me in water. Im giber who, if you're so strong, yali abasha v'yaso imi milchama. Come to the dry land and fight like a man. So Yatzabaska of Yermelo Russia ben Menashel Esav Russia. You're Russia, the son of Russia, related to Esav Russia. Biria Kali Yeshle Boilam. You have this tiny little creature, Viatush Shema, which is a gnat. So my Korile Bria Kala. Why is it called a light creature? The Malana Isla, a food to go in its mouth it has. Umafkana Leisla, but it has no anus, which means it does not excrete. Ale Liabasha, he went to the dry land, but Tasim Melchama, go and we'll do war with you. Oliabasha ba Yatush Nechtas L'chait Mai Benikir B'Moicha Sheva Shanim. So in fact, this gnat came and it entered into his nose, and for 7 years it was living inside of his brain. Yom Echad Hava Ka Baba de Beit Nafcha. Titus was walking by a blacksmith's work. Shama Koil Arzafta. He heard the hammer banging, this bug inside of his head. Ishtik, also silent. So Omer Ika Takanta. I have a takana against this. Kol Yoma Maisi Nafcha. They brought a blacksmith. They would bang in front of him. So if they found a non-Jewish blacksmith, they paid him. It's enough that you can see your enemy in such pain that pleasure is suffice. That I'm not paying you. So ad tlasin yaimin avid hachi. And he was successful to survive like this for 30 days. However, they got used to it, and once it threshed. Namely, it was ineffective. Tanya, Rabbi Pinchas ben Aruva. I was among the great people of Rome, and when this Titus guy died, he split open his head, it was like a free bird inside. Mishkol Shnei Salayim with a weight of 2 sela. Masnisatana, some say it was Kigoizel ben Shana, like a year-old pigeon. Mishkol Shnei Litrin, which has the measurement of 2 litrin. Amrabaya Naktinan, Piv Shel Nechaishas, that its mouth was a big beak was of copper, but Tziparnav Shel Barzel, and its claws were like of metal, iron. Kihavi Kamayas, when Titus was dying, he said, Likluha lahu gavra, burn up my body after I die. Levadre likitme ashev yamei. Deloy lashchache eloha diyehudoi. V'ukme bedina. Spread my ashes through the 7 seas. This way God will not know where the heck I am, because I'm all over the place, my ashes. And I'll live, which is very interesting. He originally thought that God is in control of the water. But now he realizes that God's also in control of the land. So he has really nowhere to go. So the only thing that he could do is just take his body and spread it out, his ashes. So it's brought down, Onkelos bar Klinikos, bar Achte the Titus Havi. The Onkelos was actually related to Titus. Boile Gruye, he wanted to convert, but he wasn't 100% certain. So Azal asking Latitos bin Gida. So he went through witchcraft, Rashi says, with Ov and his Obiadoni, to be able to revive his body, to be able to ask him questions about the afterlife. Armalei man choshebahu alma, who's chosh in this world, Armalei Yisrael. So he said, okay, Mahu le'id bakue buhu. Is it worth attaching to them? Should I convert? Or malay milayhu nefishin v'motzis l'kiminhu. Their words are many. You cannot be mekayim them. There's too many mitzvahs. It's too hard to do. Rather zil igri buhu bo alma. Go and fight them instead in this world. The havis reisha, and you'll become great. Dechsiv hayu sarehel araish. The enemies of Klal Yisrael will become the head. Begaimer. Kol hametzer Yisrael nasarosh. Or malay dini dahu gavro b'mai. What is your punishment in the afterlife? Or malay, as we continue to nun zayin and aleph, b'mai the pasik anafshe. That which I decided on myself. Says Rashi, mikli baduri kitma, of having my body in ashes and spread all over the world. Kayayim every single day. Machneshele lekitme. That's precisely what happens to me. V'dainile, and I'm judged. V'kolule umavadre ashev yamei, and I'm spread out throughout all 7 seas. Azalasi labilam. So they said, you know what? I asked Titus, I might as well get some more people a second opinion. So he went to Bilam bin Gida, again through Ov. Or Mahui said, Man chashabahu alma, who's chashav in this world of Malay Yisrael? Ma, who, what's your opinion? Li'id dabuke bahu, should I be daivik, should I become a convert Jewish? Or Malay says, well, sidr shloim v'toivasim kol yomim. Basically, don't. Or Malay dina bahu gabra b'mai, what's your punishment? Or Malay, b'shichva zera ritzachas. I'm burned with shechva zera. Rashi says that's mida connected mida. Why? Shevat sasai hiskil was nice el b'nois Moav. Because his eitzah was that we should engage with the daughters of Moab, and therefore that which is shechva zera, and therefore that's how he was like destroyed with shechva zera. Ozalaske bin Gida L'Paishi Yisrael. He asked the Paishi Yisrael, in which there are different girsas over here. Some people will say it's Yeshu. It's not so clear exactly if that's the case, but Paishi Yisrael could be more generic. Amalei man chashabahu al Amalei Yisrael. The Jewish people are chashav. Mahu li'id dabuke bahu, how being daivik. Amalei toivasam darish rasam lo tidrash. They're good, you should seek out, not they're bad. Kol hanogeh behen, anyone who touches them, ki'il nogeh b'vavas einai. It's like you've gone after the actual eye. Amalei dina nehu gavra b'mai. What's your punishment? Amalei b'soyer etzachas. It is with soyer ritzachas, with burning hot dung. Do you remember? Kol hamalig al diri chachamim. Anyone who mocks chachamim nidim b'soyer ritzachas. You'll be burned with soa ritzachas. Ta chazi ma ben paishi Yisrael nevi umoy sa'olam. We can now see the difference between the umoy sa'olam and the paishi Yisrael. What's the difference? Again, Tani ta chazi ma bein paishi Yisrael nevi umoy sa'olam oiv de avodah zara. Tanya Omer Rabbi Lezer boyrei kama gedola kaicha shel busha. We should see the great importance of humility. Shari siyah Kadosh Baruch Hu as Bar Kamza, that Hashem supported Bar Kamza to yichrav as base of the surface heichaloi. So we see, based on busha, that you caused embarrassment to someone because of the embarrassment that this person felt. That is the reason why the base of Mikdash was destroyed. Question 3a. Ma anshu shel hamalig al dibri chachamim. So he said the person who is malig, who mocks them, the din will be besoa ritzachas. Adkan.